Exemptions under GST. First, agriculture related services. So what is that you need to remember? Any service in relation to agriculture or agricultural produce is exempted. Any service in relation to agriculture or agricultural produce is exempted. We are not bothered about agriculture here. We are not talking about agriculture here. We are talking about, I am one service provider. I will provide service in relation to agriculture or in relation to agricultural produce. Now whatever money that I receive will be exempted. Okay. So now, what is the meaning of agriculture that we need to know? Agriculture means what? Cultivation of plants and rearing of all life forms of animals other than horses. So agriculture includes what? Not only cultivation of plants. That cultivation of plants is something. Agriculture means what? Agriculture means generally cultivation of plants and rearing of all life forms of animals other than horses. For what purpose this rearing of animals? This rearing of animals is for food, fiber, fuel, raw material. So what will come into this? So sericulture, that is silkworm cocoons. So rearing of silkworms will come under agriculture. Then fishiculture, then prawn farms, poultries, every kind of rearing of animals will come into this. Okay, rearing of all life forms of animals other than horses. So why? Because horses are something which are not allowed for food. So that's why. But rearing is allowed. So but not for food. That's why horses are excluded. Okay. Then agricultural produce means what? The primary produce out of agriculture on which no processing is carried out. So I'm getting some agricultural produce which should be the primary without any processing, or some processing is usually done by a cultivator in order to make it marketable to the consumer. Example, see, ripening process will be done by the cultivator in order to make it marketable, but because of ripening, say mango, raw mango to fruit, mango fruit, so does the character changes? No, the character will not change. It will still remain the agricultural produce. But when it is processed, that completely changes the essential characteristics. That will not be called as agricultural produce. For example, tomatoes we extract the tomato juice and make the tomato ketchup. So now in that case, can we say that it is agricultural produce? No, it is not. Same way mango fruit, from mango fruit we will be taking out the mango fruit pulp. So that mango fruit pulp can be called as agricultural produce? No, that will not be called as agricultural produce. So it should be the primary produce out of agriculture on which no processing is done, or some processing as is usually done by a cultivator, which do not change its essential characteristics. So that process should be done by the cultivator. Because of that, the essential characteristics will not change. Then in that logic, conversion from paddy to rice. Paddy to rice is also agricultural produce only, na sir? No. Rice is not an agricultural produce. Why rice is not an agricultural produce? Simple reason here. Rice, if you see, so rice, the process is not done by the cultivator. So when it will come under agricultural produce? Only when the process is usually done by a cultivator. So the process of converting from rice, that is paddy to rice, is not usually done by the cultivator, is usually done by the rice mills. So rice is not considered as an agricultural produce. Okay, rice is not an agricultural produce. However, with respect to rice, they have given certain exemptions. See, generally if rice is an agricultural produce, everything is exempted. Any service in relation to rice is exempted. But rice is not an agricultural produce, but as rice is staple food which is essential, so they have given few exemptions. What are they? Number 1, loading. Number 2, unloading. Number 3, packing. Number 4, warehousing of rice is exempted. That's the third point you can see. Loading, unloading, packing, warehousing of rice is exempted. These 4 are the activities which are treated as exempted. Okay. Then, so fourth point you understood. Then fifth point, artificial insemination of livestock. What is this artificial insemination of livestock? Generally, the reproduction will not be natural process. Through injections only they do the reproduction. So for that injections, this is known as artificial insemination process. So that person who do the artificial insemination will get some money. So that is exempted. Okay, that is this point number 5 here. So what is that first point we have seen? Any service in relation to agriculture or agricultural produce is exempted. Then what is the meaning of agriculture? What is the meaning of agricultural produce? Then next exemption, rice is not an agricultural produce, but we have few exemptions for rice. Then artificial insemination of livestock. Okay. Then next number 6, services by way of storage, warehousing of certain goods. See, these goods are not actually agricultural produce. These goods, whatever we are seeing, storage and warehousing of agricultural produce is exempted. Where? First point, any service in relation to agriculture or agricultural produce, in that first point itself, storage or warehousing of agricultural produce is exempted. But what is this? These are not directly agricultural produce which are processed but essential, so its storage is exempted. So what are they? So cereals, pulses. Cereals and pulses are processed. Nuts also processed. Spices. Then jaggery. Sugarcane is only agricultural produce, but jaggery is not. Then raw vegetable fibers such as cotton, flax, jute, these are extracted. So these are also not agricultural produce. Unmanufactured tobacco, coffee and tea. So these are some goods. So these goods are not generally agricultural produce, but its storage is exempted. Okay. So these goods are not agricultural produce. These are not agricultural produce. These are not agricultural. These are not agricultural produce. But its storage is exempted. Is it clear? These are actually not agricultural produce, but its storage is exempted. You have to remember this here, because last attempt they gave one question, warehousing of jaggery. Warehousing of jaggery, students wrote it as taxable. So actually this list you need to remember: cereals, pulses, nuts like cashew nuts, almonds, etc. Spices, pepper, cardamom, so etc. So jaggery, raw vegetable fibers such as cotton, flax, jute, unmanufactured tobacco, coffee and tea. So coffee and tea is agricultural produce? No. Coffee berries is only agricultural produce. Tea leaves is only agricultural produce. But coffee and tea is processed. It will not be treated as agricultural produce. Then minor forest produce. What is minor forest produce? Example, raw honey. Then next bamboo, then lax. All these will come under forest produce. It is not available, even many herbs, medicines, Ayurvedic herbs, etc., which are available in forest. Generally this is there na. So many ads and all will be coming. So in Amazon forest we are bringing these herbs and we are making like that. So there are certain Ayurvedic herbs which are available only in forest. So can we take these as agricultural produce? No, these are not agricultural produce, because no one is going there and cultivating it. So but this is minor forest produce, not coming under agricultural produce, but its storage is exempted. Okay, warehousing of minor forest produce is exempted. For your information, minor forest produce is not an agricultural produce. Okay, not an agricultural produce. Then fumigation in a warehouse of agricultural produce is exempted. What is that? There is a warehouse here. That warehouse, we are doing fumigation process. What is fumigation process? Filling the warehouse with pesticides, gases is known as fumigation process. Why we fill the warehouse with the gases, pesticides, etc.? So these are mainly for the purpose of killing the germs, ants, etc. So that the agricultural produce which we keep in that warehouse will not get spoiled. So this is not directly in relation to agricultural produce. This is to a warehouse which generally keeps the agricultural produce. Therefore, it is given as a separate exemption. If it is directly to agricultural produce, it would have been covered under first point. Okay. Then, sir, what about bamboo furniture, sir? Bamboo furniture is processed, na? So storage of bamboos is exempted, but storage of bamboo furniture is not a forest produce, that is processed. So that exemption is not there if you store bamboo furniture. Then slaughtering of animals other than horses is exempted. So that is, there are some slaughterhouses which will kill the animals, take the flesh separately, pack it and give. So they are receiving some money, because lot of people are now selling processed meat, correct? So what they'll do, the packed meat they are selling in the shops, supermarkets, many people. So therefore the slaughterhouses will kill the animals, take the flesh and pack it and give. So for that they will be getting some money. So this money received by the slaughterhouses will be exempted. Okay. So these are the 9 points in relation to agriculture related services which is exempted. So if you remember this, any question that is being asked, you will be able to answer. Okay. Then next. Now what you need to do is that in today's session, you have to just listen to whatever I am telling, nothing else. So just to open your ears and listen, because in exam when you see the question, if it appears like we have already discussed, then it is exempted. Otherwise it will be taxable. If you don't know anything, the balancing figure is taxable. Okay. Whatever is exempted is only given, the remaining cases are taxable. So whenever it is taxable, you should apply that Sir CG got salads. If it is applied, then it is RCM. That is, if Sir CG got salads, if that service is covered under that, it is taxable under RCM. Otherwise, it will be taxable under FCM. Okay. So therefore, just listen, that is sufficient, because this is again very, very simple. Not that you have to by heart. So you should know whether it is exempted or not, because in exam you will not be required to recollect everything. So if you know, because once we see this, for example, you get one question. So there is a farmer, there is a person who gave agricultural land on rent to a farmer. Now taxable or exempted? So what is your answer? Agricultural land which is given on rent to a farmer, taxable or exempted? Exempted. Why? Why it is exempted? Not that it is taxable, exempted. Why it is exempted? Any service in relation to agriculture or agricultural produce is exempted, correct? So land given to a farmer for what purpose? Agricultural land given to the farmer for what purpose? In relation to agriculture. Therefore it is exempted. Like that we should interpret. Understood or not? Okay. So then I transported the agricultural produce. Now whatever freight that I received, taxable or exempted? I transported agricultural produce. Now whatever freight I receive will be taxable or exempted? Exempted. Why? Service in relation to agricultural produce is exempted due to that reason. Any service in relation to agricultural produce is exempted due to that reason. Is it clear or not? Then, any specific reason for only warehousing exemption of these goods, sir? No specific reason, but they wanted to grant some exemption with respect to these warehousing, because warehousing charges on that GST should not be paid. So why the cost will increase now for the agriculturists, farmers. For farmers, usually they store the agricultural produce. So the cost will increase. That's why they have given this. Okay. But even they extended it to some goods which are not even agricultural produce, because these are essentials due to that reason. Okay. Then now we are moving on to the second area, that is insurance services. Following are exempted. What are the exemption with respect to insurance services? Service of life insurance business provided by way of annuity under national pension system. Okay, that is, there is something called as annuity scheme of the government. National pension system. Annuity means like some amount will be paid. So you will get not only coverage of life, but also some pension at a later point of time. That is National Pension System Trust. Like yearly some amount I will pay, not only life insurance, but I will also get the pension from a later point of time on maturity. Okay, so this is National Pension System. Whatever contribution that we make under National Pension System is exempted. Then group life insurance service by Army, Navy, Air Force, Coastal Guard and Central Armed Police Forces. What is that? So these 5 group insurance funds here. What are the 5 group insurance funds? Army, Navy, Air Force, Coastal Guard and Central Armed Police Forces. These 5 group insurance funds. Group insurance means what? From that, for example, Army group insurance fund, every person who is in the army, they will be paying some money towards that group insurance fund, and upon death of any one member, so out of that group insurance fund, amount will be contributed to their family members, whether government is giving or not, but the army group insurance fund will pay. Okay, so like that. So that is group insurance funds. So whose group insurance funds contribution is exempted? Army, Navy, Air Force, Coastal Guard and Central Armed Police Forces. Okay, so CAPF. So usually this airports and all will be having Central Armed Police Forces, those people. Then service of general insurance business provided under government scheme. I am an insurance company. What I will be doing, I will be providing some general insurance services, but the type of the policy is covered under government scheme. That particular policy is covered under government scheme. Now whatever money that is being received by the insurance company is exempted. Very importantly, that policy should be covered under government policies. So generally government government will be giving benefit to whom? Only to certain people, not to all. Who are those certain people? Because there is a big list of government notified services. So that is government notified insurance policies. There is a big list. So that big list we cannot remember. So that's why I'm trying to simplify this. So usually these insurance policies will be targeted to whom? Agriculture and farmers. Vote bank here, vote bank. Agriculture and farmers, then below poverty line people, then women and infants, and unemployed. Okay. For example, we get a question, that is general insurance premium received under coconut palm insurance scheme, like that. Coconut palm insurance. So to whom it is? Generally insurance companies are commercial, so they will not be giving benefit to any agriculture and farmers. So if they are giving, no doubt it is a notified policy under government, therefore the premium collected will be exempted, like that. Okay. Then next one more thing, this hut insurance premium received under hut insurance. Hut, who will live in hut? Below poverty line people. So therefore whatever premium received will be exempted, like that you need to remember. Okay. So that is any insurance company. The service provider can be any insurance company. They are providing service under general insurance business. They are doing general insurance business, and those policies are covered under government notified schemes. Now whatever premium collected under those government notified schemes is exempted. Apart from that, any other general insurance will be taxable. Okay. Like that, life insurance also. But life insurance, government notified schemes, you can easily identify that all these government notified schemes will end with the word Yojana. So therefore that is known as a government notified scheme. So life insurance under various government schemes, the scheme ends with the word Yojana, then it is a government notified scheme. And there is something called as micro life insurance. What is micro life insurance? The sum assured does not exceed 2 lakhs. Remember, 2 lakhs. The sum assured does not exceed 2 lakhs. Maximum is 2 lakhs. So which means that the premium will be very, very less. That is known as micro life insurance. Okay. So the sum assured does not exceed 2 lakh rupees. So this premium collected is also exempted. Then next, insurance services provided to government. Government also owns some properties and employees of the government. So there is an insurance company which provides the general insurance or life insurance services to the government, for which they will receive a premium. That premium collected will be exempted. Then reinsurance of any exempted insurance is also exempted. That is, already there is a insurance service which is exempted. Its reinsurance is also exempted. For example, I am providing services to government, so my risk exposure is high. So this is exempted. Whatever premium that I collect from the government is exempted. Now I will take a reinsurance from another insurance company. I pay premium. So that premium paid is also exempted to that another insurance company. Reinsurance is exempted. So if the main insurance is exempted, its reinsurance is also exempted. Okay. Then next area, banking and other financial services. Sir, should we remember it as it is like this? Yes, you have to remember as it is like this. So when we see practical questions, you will understand as to how this will be applied in the questions. Banking and other financial services, see this. There is a service provider who is located outside India, who is providing services to RBI. In relation to what? In relation to management of foreign exchange reserves. That is exempted. So how to remember this? Simple. All services provided by RBI is exempted. If RBI is providing any services provided by RBI is exempted. So the outward supply of RBI is exempted. You understood this point? The outward supply of RBI is exempted. Now the inward supply of RBI you take. That is, now RBI is receiving a service. They are importing services in relation to what? Management of foreign exchange reserves, exempted. If it is any other service, then it will be taxable under RCM, import of services. Now domestic services. Domestic services already we know. There is a overseeing committee. That overseeing committee where we discussed 9 subsection 3. There is a overseeing committee which provides services to RBI, which will be taxable under RCM. If it is any other service provider providing services to RBI, it will be taxable under FCM. Okay. So now how it will be asked in exam? Say X Limited has given their immobile property on rent to RBI and collected 1 lakh rupees per month, taxable or exempted? You think and tell. X Limited given their immobile property on rent to RBI, and for which they received a rent of 1 lakh per month. So whether it is taxable or exempted? This is services provided to RBI or by RBI? To RBI. So to RBI. So within India, is it overseeing committee? No, not overseeing committee, others. Therefore it will be taxable under FCM. Very good, keep it up. It will be taxable under FCM. Brilliant. Now another example, please listen carefully. RBI provides services to a financial intermediary. RBI provides services to a financial services intermediary and they receive some money for rendering the services. Taxable or exempted? Exempted. Keep it up. Very good. Why it is exempted? Any service provided by RBI is exempted under that category. So services provided by RBI is exempted. You understood or not? So like that we should interpret. So this chart, if you remember, whenever they give a question, we can apply to the chart and arrive at the answer. Then second one here, please listen. Transaction in money. Transaction in money divide into two, for separate consideration or without consideration. What is this without consideration means? Like I gave you example, I give some 10 lakhs and I receive 10 lakhs only. So transaction in money without consideration. It is neither goods nor services because money is excluded from the definition of both goods and services due to that reason. Okay. So then what if there is a transaction in money for a separate consideration? Transaction in money for a separate consideration. So we need to treat it as service. We discussed it long back. So transaction in money for a separate consideration is treated as service. Now what is that consideration? That consideration is interest or discount on loans, advances and deposits. Then it is exempted. If it is any other consideration like processing fee or application fee or NEFT charges, RTGS charges, like that, any other charges, then it will be taxable. Okay. Now what about interest involved in credit card? That is, you have a credit card, you swipe that credit card and convert it into EMI. So on that interest you need to pay GST or you are not required to pay GST. On that interest GST is payable because interest involved in credit card is not exempted. Interest involved in credit card will be taxable. Please keep this in mind. Okay. Interest involved in credit card is taxable. So please see. So transaction in money for a separate consideration, without consideration. So transaction in money, so is divided into two. For consideration, without consideration. If it is for consideration, so such transaction is treated as service. If it is without consideration, neither goods nor services. When such transaction is treated as service, if the consideration is interest or discount, it is exempted. If it is any other consideration, including interest on credit cards, so then it will be taxable under FCM. Okay. Then next one, say this. Third one, services provided by banking company to basic saving deposit holders under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. PMJDY scheme is there for this LPG subsidy. For the sake of this LPG subsidy, many bank accounts were opened under PMJDY scheme which are nil balance accounts. So these people may receive, these nil balance account holders under PMJDY scheme may be receiving some services. So for that, whatever money that bank collects will be exempted. Okay. Services provided by a banking company to basic savings deposit account holders under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Say there is say I have an account under PMJDY scheme. Now I may apply for a loan. When I apply for a loan and I will be paying some processing fee. That processing fee generally is taxable, but in this case it will be exempted. Why? Because services are provided to the savings account holders under PMJDY scheme due to that reason. Okay. Then next, forex transactions. Forex transactions means money changing, conversion from one currency to another currency. Between banks, if there is any forex transaction, say HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank, any forex transaction is exempted. Between forex dealers, exempted. Between bank and dealers, exempted. Between bank or dealers and customers, it will be taxable. Understood? So forex transactions, when it will be taxable, only when it is between banks and customers or dealers and customers, not between banks and dealers. Okay. Then next point, see this, services by an acquiring bank to any person in relation to settlement of an amount up to 2000. So this is the 2000 rupees point. Okay, so listen carefully. That is, generally when we go to a shop, when we make some purchases, when we swipe our card, so what will happen? So when we swipe our card, so there is a POS device where we swipe. So that POS device will be supplied by one bank. Okay, say that POS device is supplied by HDFC Bank. What HDFC Bank will do? HDFC Bank will collect money from our account. Say ours is Axis Bank. So money will be collected from our account and credited to the vendor's account, credited to the vendor's or shopkeeper's account. For this, they will be collecting some processing fee. They'll be collecting some processing fee. Who will be collecting processing fee? That acquiring bank will be collecting processing fee. That processing fee will be ranging between 1% to 3%, depending upon the transaction. And this processing fee is not exempted. This processing fee will always be there. This processing fee will always be there. But GST on that processing fee will be exempted if the swipe amount does not exceed 2000. If the swipe amount, so don't see value or GST and all. So that is, you are swiping. What is the amount for which you are swiping? Less than or equals to 2000. Then also processing fee will be there. But on that processing fee, GST is exempted. Okay. Suppose if the processing fee is more than, suppose if the transaction is more than 2000, on that also processing fee will be there. On that processing fee, there will be GST also. Understood or not? Got the clarity here related to this fifth point? Please respond. Services by an acquiring bank to any person in relation to settlement of an amount up to 2000 rupees. Up to, amount up to 2000. It is not value. Means swipe amount. In a single transaction transacted through credit card, debit card, charge card or any other payment card service. So don't remember that processing fee is exempted. GST on processing fee is exempted, but processing fee will be there. Okay, because GST law cannot exempt the processing fee. Point number 6. Services by following persons in respective capacities. Already we discussed this. Business correspondent, business facilitator. So business correspondent, business facilitator, agent of business correspondent, agent of business facilitator providing services to rural branch of a bank is exempted. The commission received by them is exempted. Do you remember that? One chart also we have seen, and we have discussed, concluded that business facilitator shall never pay GST and always business correspondent only will pay GST. So we already discussed that while discussing RCM. Okay. So this is that. Then point number 7, services by an intermediary of financial services. So remember that there is a multi-services SEZ in India called as GIFT, Gujarat International Finance, Gujarat International Finance Fintech is there. GIFT, it is there, multi-service SEZ. Where is that? It is in Gujarat. So now there is a person in the multi-service SEZ who provides services to their customers located outside India in relation to some foreign exchange transactions. Now this will be exempted, but you may get a doubt. Why can't it be treated as export of service? Supplier in India, recipient outside India, and consideration is in forex. Then why can't it be treated as export of service? When supplier in India and recipient outside India, place of supply is determined under section 13. Under section 13, for banking and other financial services, what will be taken as the place of supply? Location of supplier. Where the location of supplier is in India. So how it will become export of service? It will not become export of service. That's why they have given exemption here. Understood? See this. Such intermediary can receive consideration in Indian rupees or foreign currency for their service. Their service shall not fall under export of service as place of supply is location of supplier. As place of supply is location of supplier under section 13. Okay. So what is the place of supplier? Place of supply is location of supplier under section 13 due to that reason. Okay. So these are the 7 points in relation to banking and other financial services which are exempted. Then next area is healthcare services. Healthcare services. What is that? We need to remember. See, healthcare services means what? First you should know that healthcare services means what? Healthcare services means pre-treatment, treatment, post-treatment. Pre-treatment means diagnosing a patient. X-ray, scanning, test, all these things will come under pre-treatment. Treatment is so treating a person. Care is post-treatment. Post-treatment means keeping the patient under observation, etc. will come under care. For what? Any disease, illness, injury, deformity. Okay, any illness, injury. So disease is acquired, illness is inborn, okay, and injury or pregnancy. In what medicine form, in what system of medicine? It can be any recognized system of medicine. It need not be allopathy, English medicine. It can be homeopathy, it can be Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani, then naturopathy treatments, anything, any recognized system of medicine in India, okay. And it includes transportation of the patient in the ambulance, but does not include, very very important, cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery and hair transplantation will not come in healthcare services. These three are not actually healthcare, but if these three are carried out to restore the anatomy of the body parts affected due to congenital defects, that is by birth some defects are there, so for that some plastic surgery is done. Say for example, a baby is born with cleft lip, that is broken lip, so they are connecting that lip. So for that whatever money that is being received, so will be exempted. Why? So healthcare service excludes cosmetic, plastic and hair transplantation except when carried out to restore the anatomy of the body parts affected due to congenital defects. So here it is a congenital defect, therefore it is exempted. Or developmental abnormalities, some people will have imbalance with respect to the left side parts and right side parts. So for example, left side shoulder is less than the right side shoulder, so they will do some cosmetic procedure and for that they will collect some amount. This will be also exempted because it will come under developmental abnormalities. Injury or trauma, say a person met with a fire accident, so they carry out the cosmetic surgery, hair transplantation and all, so it is part of healthcare service only. Generally if a person is normal and if he wants to undergo cosmetic or plastic or hair transplantation, that will be taxable, okay. So other than for restoring body parts affected due to congenital defects, developmental abnormalities, injury or trauma, understood? So please try to remember this healthcare service definition. Now healthcare services should be provided where? By a authorized medical practitioner. Authorized medical practitioner means doctor, or by a clinical establishment, hospital, nursing home, etc. Authorized medical practitioner, who is authorized? So a person who is having minimum MBBS degree and is registered with the state medical council is known as an authorized medical practitioner. And paramedics means those who assist the authorized medical practitioner, like this nurse, lab technician, etc. will come under paramedics, including ambulance services. Sir, anyhow healthcare service includes ambulance service. What is this separate? This separate ambulance service is even though not part of healthcare, like only ambulance service. So they are not providing healthcare, only providing ambulance, private ambulance. So that is also exempted. So healthcare service by a clinical establishment, authorized medical practitioner, paramedics, including transportation in ambulance, okay. Next, then we have second one, cord blood bank. Cord blood bank refers to preservation of the blood in the umbilical cord by extracting the stem cells. So these stem cells are necessary for curing many diseases in future that the baby may attract. So this preservation comes with a cost. So that amount collected by these cord blood banks is exempted, okay. So cord blood banks by way of preservation of stem cells. Number 3, healthcare service in relation to animals or birds. What is that? Veterinary clinic services. Veterinary clinic. So whatever money they receive will be exempted. Last, services of common biomedical waste treatment operators. Common biomedical waste treatment operators means these people provides like processing of medical waste. So they will take medical waste from multiple hospitals and clinics, etc. They will properly recycle it and dispose it off, and they will collect some money for that. That money collected by this biomedical waste treatment operators is exempted, okay. So these are the 4 exemptions in relation to healthcare services here. Now there are some special points. See this. Sir, I am giving the rooms on rental basis to inpatients. So whether it will be taxable. Inpatient means patients who are admitted there. So whether that rental charges for rooms is taxable or exempted. Why are we giving them rental? So for conducting honeymoon? No. For recreation? No. For medical service. So for healthcare service. So it's part of healthcare service, therefore it is exempted. Okay. Then food. Food will be supplied to inpatients for what? Are we running a restaurant? No. So it is also part and parcel of healthcare service, therefore it is exempted. What if there is a canteen through which food are sold to outsiders, outpatients, visitors, etc.? That will be taxable because there it is like a restaurant activity. Okay. Then see that first point, renting of rooms to inpatients in hospital and food supplied to inpatients is part of healthcare service and is exempted. Okay. Then next, suppose if there is a person who wanted to run a canteen in a hospital and he takes the place in the hospital on rent from the hospital. Now whatever rental charges that hospital collects will be taxable or exempted. Hospital is giving a space on rent for keeping a canteen. Now whatever rent that they collect will be taxable or exempted. What is your answer? Taxable. Taxable, because that is not a healthcare service. Nowhere it is given here. And that person who runs the canteen supplies food to the outpatients, etc. Taxable or exempted? Taxable. That is also taxable. Okay. Then services provided by consulting doctors to hospitals is also exempted. What is this point? That is, there is a doctor who is providing services to a hospital and he gets money from the hospital. That is exempted. Hospital collecting money from the patients is also exempted. For example, there is an outpatient. So yesterday I visited one doctor just to check because my health was not great. So therefore I went to one doctor. What I did, after consulting, I paid a consulting fee. 500 rupees I paid a consulting fee. Whether I paid it to the doctor, I paid it to the hospital, I paid to the hospital. 500 rupees. Taxable or exempted? Exempted. Now what hospital will do? They will deduct some 200 rupees and pay 300 rupees to the doctor. Now whatever money the doctor collects will be exempted. Whatever money the doctor collects will be exempted. Understood or not? So both are exempted. Then services provided by rehabilitation professionals. Okay. So there is one query. But from that canteen, we are also providing to patients. So why it should not be apportioned? Never, never. From that canteen to the inpatients, we will never provide the food. That is prohibited. So this situation is a hypothetical situation. It will never happen. So that's prohibited because a canteen giving food to the inpatients is prohibited. That is prohibited. Okay. So if at all to the inpatients, the food needs to be supplied by the hospital only. Hospital only should provide the food. So that is only hygienic and that is only allowed. Not all kinds of food they can provide. So this canteen is a private canteen. What I refer to is a private canteen. If it is hospital only providing food to their inpatients as well as outpatients, then to inpatient it is exempted, outpatient it will be taxable if hospital themselves provide food. But when hospital outsources the work to one canteen, that canteen will never supply food to the inpatients. Canteen will supply food only to the OP, outpatients. Okay. Outpatients will not be treated as those who are receiving healthcare service. Only inpatients are treated as those who receive healthcare service. Okay. Then say this. Rehabilitation professionals. Who are these rehabilitation professionals? They are not authorized medical practitioners, but they are psychology experts. They will be providing services by way of counseling the patients. So say for example, some patients are addicted to drugs, etc. So or after post surgery there will be a stress, traumatic stress and all will be there. So this post surgery stress or some people who are addicted to drugs, etc. So these people will be provided some counseling. For that there are some psychology experts. So these people collecting money is exempted, but very, very important, where these people will be working, these people will be working in any medical establishment or education institution. But if they are working in rehab centers, there are some rehab centers that should not be a private rehab centers, that should be government or any trust owned rehab centers. If they are working for a private rehab centers, whatever money that they collect will be taxable. If they are working for, see, education institution and medical establishment can be private or government, it's okay. But rehab centers are there, na? These rehab centers should be either owned by government or a trust. If it is a private rehab centers in which they are working and if they get money, that will be taxable. This is only for that rehab centers. What about a doctor working in a private clinic? Exempted. Doctor working in a private clinic or government clinic will be exempted. This is only to that rehabilitation professionals. Okay. So with this we completed healthcare services, and the next area is about entry tickets. Okay. Yes, sir, what is the difference between Schedule 3 negative list and the exemptions we are revising now? Schedule 3 is excluded from supply. That activity is not a supply at all. Whereas exemptions, what we are discussing is, so once an activity becomes supply, that will be either a taxable supply or exempted supply. What we are discussing now is the exempted supply. In balancing case, it will be taxable. So once an activity is not at all a supply, we don't have to bother about whether it is taxable or exempted. Okay, not covered under the levy like that. Not at all a supply, excluded from supply is that. But once it is covered under supply, either it will be taxable or it will be exempted. Done here? Okay, see this entry tickets point. Following entry tickets are exempted. Irrespective of the ticket price, it is exempted. What are they? Museum, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserve, national park, then zoo, entry to protected monuments. So these 6 are exempted. What are they? First, entry tickets, museum, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserve, then zoo, national park, entry to protected monuments. These are the 6 entry tickets. Irrespective of the ticket price, it is exempted. 500 rupees or 1000 rupees, whatever it may be. Whereas there are some entry tickets which are exempted provided the ticket price does not exceed 500 rupees. Okay, so what are they? So certain events we will see. So that is musical performance and concert. Musical performance and concert difference is that concert is with respect to one person. Say for example, A.R. Rahman concert, etc. Musical performance means band. A band will be performing. A team of people will be performing. That is musical performance. Then dance. Okay, these 3 remember. What are they? Musical performance, concert and dance. Next, award function, then pageant. Pageant is beauty shows. Award functions, pageant, and then sporting events. So award function, pageant, sporting events. Apart from that, we have circus and planetarium. Circus, theatrical performance and planetarium. So total 9. So theatrical performance means drama, stage shows, and planetarium. So these are the entry tickets. You have to remember here. Where the ticket price does not exceed 500 is exempted. What if the ticket price exceeds 500? Fully it will be taxable. In all the exemptions, you remember. So if there is a limit, monetary limit that is given, if you cross the monetary limit, entirely it will be taxable. So this is about entry tickets. Then next one, pension services. Pension services, contribution under Atal Pension Yojana. So for central government, there is an Atal Pension Yojana, and for state government also there is a state government operated pension scheme is there. So for central government, it is Atal Pension Yojana. For state government, there is a state government operated pension. For that, monthly we will make some contribution. That contribution received by them is exempted. Then services by specified organizations. So these are the specified organizations. These are the specified organizations. If they receive any money, that is exempted. Okay. So who are those specified organizations? SEBI, Security and Exchange Board of India. From whom they will receive money? SEBI will receive money from the listed companies. So whatever money that they receive will be exempted. Then ESIC, Employees State Insurance Corporation, from whom they will receive money? They will receive money from the factories, so which will be taking insurance on the life of their workers. So that amount paid to the ESIC is exempted. Then EPFO, Regular Provident Fund, Employee Provident Fund Organization. Then IRDA, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, they will be collecting money from the insurance companies. Whatever money that they have collected is exempted. Then Foreign Diplomatic Mission located in India. So this foreign diplomatic missions means that is specialized agencies of UN organizations, that is specialized agencies of UN, specialized agencies of UN, then consulate or embassy, okay, or these are called as foreign diplomatic mission located in India. Their outward supply is exempted. Then CMPFO, Coal Mine Provident Fund Organization. Like how we have a public provident fund organization, like that we have a coal mine provident fund organization. Whatever money that is received by them is exempted. NPS Trust, National Pension System Trust, already we discussed. Okay, so these people receiving any money is exempted. Then next area, charitable and religious services. What is this? Say there is a charitable trust under section 12AA, registered under section 12AA of Income Tax Act. They provide certain charitable activities. Money received towards that charitable activities is exempted. What are they? Public health. What are the charitable activities we are learning? See, these are the only charitable activities. Apart from that, any other activity if money received, that will be taxable. Only these activities money received will be exempted. Okay. Services by an entity registered under 12AA. What are the charitable activities? Public health. Anyhow, public health is exempted. Anyhow, healthcare service is exempted. Even if charitable institution provides, that also is exempted. Religion, spirituality, yoga. Who will be covered here? Religion, spirituality, yoga. All these Baba, Swamijis, they will come. Okay. So they will be minting money like anything. All that is exempted. Then educational programs to physically or mentally traumatized persons, prisoners and persons over 65 years. Educational programs to even orphans is also there. Orphans, physically or mentally traumatized persons, prisoners and persons over 65 years. So for them, if any educational programs is provided, that is also exempted. Then wildlife or environmental protection, environmental preservation. So total 4 activities are called as charitable activities. Number 1, public health. Number 2, advancement of religion, spirituality, yoga. Number 3, educational programs to orphans, then prisoners and physically or mentally traumatized persons over 65 years. Then environmental protection. These are the only 4 charitable activities. Apart from that, any other activity done by a trust will be taxable. Okay, understood? Then apart from that, so these 4 are only covered under charitable activities. Now, sir, then school run for special students is fee collected by school is also exempted. See, fee collected by any school is exempted under a different exemption, not under this. So because we have something called as educational services, there it will come as an exemption. Fee collected by any school for that matter is exempted. Okay. Then yes, persons over 65 years, yes, here very important point, residing in rural area. If they are in urban area, then exemption is not available. They should be residing in rural area. Okay. Then next one, point number 2, services by an old age home run by central government, state government or charitable trust. So central government, charitable trust or state government owns a old age home. They will be receiving money. Monthly how much? 25,000 per month per member, then it is exempted. If it goes beyond that, it will be entirely taxable. But usually old age homes and all, it will not go beyond 25,000 per month. So whatever money that they receive, old age home receive, will be exempted. Then services by a person by way of conduct of religious ceremony. Who will conduct religious ceremony? Purohit, priest, pandit, any way you can call. So these people will be receiving some money for conducting the religious ceremony. That money received by them will be exempted. Then services by special organizations, not for all, only some special organizations for religious pilgrimage. So not all organizations, only special organizations, and that is in relation to religious pilgrimage. They will be providing services. That money received is exempted. What is considered as religious pilgrimage? Kailash, Manas Sarovar and Hajj Yatra. Kailash and Manas Sarovar, these two will be considered as religious pilgrimage, but not all organizations, only some specialized organizations. Then this is about religious services, charitable and religious services which are exempted. So services provided by ambulance is exempted, but ambulance can avail ITC under blocked credit. No. See, the outward supply is exempted, but they cannot take ITC on their inward supply under different place. As such, ambulance is not a blocked credit. As such, ambulance is not a blocked credit. But if the outward supply of the ambulance is exempted, which means credit is not available, as simple as that. Okay. Then say this. Sir, dentist doing braces is considered cosmetic? Yes. So that braces, etc. Suppose if it is a root canal treatment, it is considered as healthcare service. Root canal treatment is considered as healthcare service, and they take out the teeth and they will put another teeth. So that is not coming under healthcare service. That will come under cosmetic or plastic surgery. Even putting the braces, caps, etc. will also come under cosmetic, and it will be chargeable to GST. Okay. Then next, look into education services. Say this. Services provided by an educational institution by way of conduct of entrance examination against consideration in the form of entrance fee. So this is there now. 1 second. Say this. Say this one. First you see this one. Services provided by an educational institution. This is services provided by an education institution to students, faculty and staff is exempted. But what is the meaning of that educational institution? So there are three categories of education institutions here. Category 1, up to 12th standard. Category 2, education for obtaining a qualification recognized by any law. Category 3, approved occasional education. Okay. So what is the first exemption that we are learning? Services provided by an education institution to its students, faculty and staff is exempted, and that education institution is divided into three: category 1, category 2 and category 3. Category 1 is up to 12th standard. Category 2 is education for obtaining a qualification recognized by law. Category 3 is approved occasional education. So these are the three categories. Up to 12th standard, education for obtaining a qualification recognized by law means like any doctor, engineer, chartered accountants, all these people will come. And approved occasional education, so skill based learning, ITI, ITC, polytechnic colleges will come under category 3. This is by an educational institution. Okay, to whom they should provide services? To students, faculty and staff. Now an educational institution receives some amount for allowing the corporates to do the campus recruitment. So that money received by the education institution for allowing the corporates to do campus recruitment will be taxable or exempted. Why it will be taxable? Because the service is not provided to student, faculty, staff. Service is provided to corporates. So therefore it will be taxable. It is not exempted. It will be taxable. Because service is provided not to the students, faculty and staff. Service is provided to the corporates for which they collected money. That's why it will be taxable. Is it clear or not? Then next, say education institution is given on rent for conducting a marriage function. Education institution given on rent for conducting a marriage function. What is your answer? Taxable or exempted? Definitely it will be taxable because it is not to the students, faculty and staff. Then what service here? Any service. The service need not be related to education. That can be any service. Service need not be related to education. For example, transportation of students, faculty and staff in a bus for which they collect bus fee. Bus fee will be taxable or exempted? Bus fee will be exempted. Why it is exempted? Any service. So services does not mean only education service. Any service provided to students, faculty and staff, any service is exempted. This is services provided by an education institution. Now what we are going to discuss is services provided to an education institution. So this is to an education institution. So 4 services: transportation of students, faculty and staff, catering, security and housekeeping service provided to education institution. Education institution needs to provide transportation service to its students, faculty and staff. Now what I am doing, I am providing services to the education institution. Okay. Now in that case, so that is transportation services. Whatever money that I receive will be exempted. So transportation service, catering, housekeeping and security. These 4 only to category 1 education institution. Not for category 2 and category 3. For category 2 and category 3 will be taxable. Then conduct of examination, admission to the education institution or conduct of examination. Suppose if I have a space and I am giving it on rent to an education institution for conducting exams, whatever rental that I receive will be exempted. Okay, so that is this admission to or conduct of examination. Then online periodicals and journals, like these online periodicals and journal subscription will be taken. So that category 2 education institution is only exempted. Category 1 and 3 will be taxable. So this table you should remember. So 4 services to category 1 is exempted. What are they? Transportation, security, housekeeping and catering. These 4. And then admission to or conduct of examination, all 3 category institutions it is exempted. Online periodicals and journals, only category 2 institution is exempted. Then next, so these 2 points over now come back. There is an education institution which is conducting entrance exam and collects entrance exam fee. Now this entrance exam fee cannot be taken as services provided to students. Why? Because only after writing entrance exam they will be giving admissions. So they are not students now. Right now they are not their students. So then whatever entrance fee collected should be taxable. But there is a separate exemption, that is this point. Services provided by an education institution by way of conduct of entrance examination against consideration in the form of entrance fee is exempted. Okay. Then amount paid to training providers under Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Grameen Kaushal Yojana, that is in rural area to provide the skill based training and all. So there is some DDUGKY scheme of government is there. Under that scheme you can also list as a volunteer. You can go to the rural area and provide them skill based training for which you will receive money from the government, that is exempted. That is this DDUGKY, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Grameen Kaushal Yojana. Then service provided with respect to training expenditure entirely borne by government. So that is, so there is one private coaching center which is providing NEET coaching, NEET coaching, and for which money is paid by the government. They are providing NEET coaching to below poverty line students or minority students, etc., for which money is paid by the government to the education institution. Now whatever money that is received from the government by that education institution will be exempted. Okay, that is this 3rd point. Then 4th point, any service provided by National Skill Development Corporation which is set up by central government, or there is a sector skill council which is approved by NSDC, or assessment or assessment agent or training partner under NSDC or SSC. If these people provide any skill development program, that is exempted. Example, animation, designing, mobile repairing, all these things will come. Next, point number 7, training in recreational activities relating to arts and culture. Arts and culture. So arts and culture, example, Bharatanatyam dance schools or any Western dance school, singing, or martial arts, all these will come under arts. Culture will come under language. So like imparting Vedas, Upanishads, or learning a language, etc. will come under culture. So these people receiving money will be exempted. Okay. Suppose if it is a sports academies, sports academy should be registered as a trust. Only then the money received by them will be exempted. Got it? Sports academy should be registered as a trust. Only then the money received by them is exempted. Please see the point number 8. Training in recreational activities relating to sports should be registered as a section 12AA trust. Okay. Then services by assessment bodies under skill development initiative scheme. What is this? There are some assessing bodies. So these people will be from the industry. These assessment bodies are, people from industry, experts from industry. What they will do? Experts from industry, what they will do? So they will provide services. So experts from industry review course curriculum. Okay. Review course curriculum and suggest changes. So these people will be paid some money by the government, and that money received by them will be exempted. Okay, that is this skill development initiative scheme. So these are the 9 activities covered under education services which are exempted. Okay, see what I am doing is like I have simplified it to a greater extent. So this much at least if you remember, that is sufficient. Okay, so then services provided by government. What we will do, we will complete it and then we will proceed to the illustrations also today. So then you will be learning this completely. Services provided by government. Specified activities, other activities. Specified activities are covered under supply. All other activities are excluded from supply. Okay. So what are the specified activities? Already we discussed in the meaning of supply definition itself. That is 4 activities are covered under supply. Number 1, Department of Post. Number 2, transportation, airport or port, and services provided to business entities. These are the specified activities which are covered under supply. All other activities are excluded from supply. Okay. Now let's take an example. Government of Tamil Nadu providing, or municipal authority of Chennai providing water supply to a household for which they collect water charges. Taxable or exempted. First, is it Department of Post? No. Is it airport or port? No. Is it transportation? No. Is it services to business entity? No. So others. So therefore it is not a supply. Not that it is taxable or exempted. It is not a supply. Then RTO collecting some amount for giving the driving license to an individual. So it will come under specified activities? No. It will not come under specified activities. Why, sir? So is it Department of Post? No. Transportation? No. Airport or port? No. Services to business entity? No. So others, therefore it is excluded from supply. Not that it is exempted. It is excluded from supply. Are you understanding this? Then whatever is covered under supply, now we are discussing whether it is taxable or exempted. First, Department of Post. Department of Post, only these activities are taxable here. All other activities of Department of Post is exempted. What are the activities of Department of Post which is taxable? Speed post, express parcel post, life insurance, and agency services. What are the other activities of Department of Post? Registered post, book post, inland letter, then basic mail services, money order, saving schemes, etc. All those are exempted. Only these 4 activities of Department of Post are taxable. What are they? Speed post, express parcel post, then agency or insurance. These 4 activities of the Department of Post is only taxable. Then transportation of goods or passengers, we need to refer to the transportation chart that we will see. Then airport or port services is always taxable. Airport or port will be providing service to whom? will be providing services to airlines or shipping companies. Whatever money that they receive will be taxable. Then services provided to business entities. What services will be provided to business entity? Any service provided to business entity, we have specific exemptions, general exemptions, and in the remaining cases, it will be taxable. Okay. We have specific exemptions, general exemptions, and in remaining cases, it will be taxable. Okay. Services provided to business entities. Now, what are those specific exemptions? Please see. These are the 13 specific exemptions. Total 13 specific exemptions are there. I will give you with example, you try to remember. So number 1, municipality or gram panchayat service. All these services are what? Services provided to business entities. All these are services provided to business entities. Municipality or gram panchayat services. Municipality or gram panchayat services means, so we have this something called as a water supply, or this certificates, water supply to X Limited by Chennai Metro Water Corporation, by Chennai Metro Water Corporation, or by local authority. Okay, so water supply to X Limited by local authority. Sir, you said it is excluded from supply. To individual, it is excluded from supply. To a business entity, it is covered under supply, but it is exempted. Any activities, municipality or gram panchayat services, then interdepartmental services. So police department, income tax department is going for a raid. When income tax department goes for a raid, they will take the support of a police department. Okay, so police department providing services to income tax department is an example. Income tax department. So this is an example for interdepartmental services. One department of government to another department of the government. Then right to use telecom spectrum. What is telecom spectrum? Radio frequency. Allocated before 1/4/2016. Right to use telecom spectrum allocated before 1/4/2016. Before 1/4/2016, both one-time charges and annual royalty. Both on-time charges and annual royalty is exempted. Okay. So, if the allocation is after 1/4/2016, entirely it will be taxable. So, there is a spectrum. For example, 2G, 3G, etc. is allocated before 1/4/2016. For that, if they receive any amount now, for that allocation before 1/4/2016, if they receive any amount now towards one-time charges or annual royalty, that will be exempted. Okay. If the allocation is after 1/4/2016, then whatever money received will be taxable. Same way, right to use natural resources allocated before 1/4/2016, but only one-time charges is exempted. But you may get a doubt. One-time charges already it would have been received at the time itself. Why are we discussing now? Because those one-time charges may be payable in installments. Those installments may come now, so that installment received now will be exempted. Then, right to use natural resources to individual farmer. So, what is the difference between third point and fourth point? Third and fourth is, third is spectrum, fourth is any other natural resource. And third point, both one-time charges, annual royalty exempted. But in fourth point, only one-time charges exempted. Now, what is the difference between 3, 4, 5? So, 4 is natural resource, 5 is also natural resource. But 4 is assigned to any other person, 5 is assigned to an individual farmer. When it should be assigned, anytime it can be assigned, and whatever money that is received will be exempted. Okay. Example, agricultural land given on lease to the farmer for which rental will be collected, that is exempted. Then, merchant overtime charges under customs. So, customs department will be working overtime after office hours, for which they will be collecting some charges called as merchant overtime charges. That merchant overtime charges collected by them will be exempted. Then, share of profit petroleum for assigning right to extract petroleum crude or natural gas. What is this? So generally government will get, apart from royalty, a share of profit out of the petroleum that is being generated, out of the crude oil or natural gas that is generated. From that, a share of profit government will receive. That share of profit which government receives is exempted. This is apart from royalty. Okay. Then next, safety certificate charges. That is, factories should be getting a safety certificate from the officer of state government, because they need to provide proper safety measures to the workers who are working in the factory. So this safety certificate charges, whatever they pay, that will be exempted. Then registration charges under any law for the time being in force. What is this? That is, for example, if you want a land to be registered, you will pay registration charges to sub-registrar. If you want a company to be incorporated, you will pay some charges to the registrar of companies. All those amounts will be exempted. Then consideration for tolerating an act. You entered into contract with the government, you breach the contract. When you breach the contract, you will be paying some damages. That damages collected by the government will be exempted. Okay. Then consideration for tolerating an act, you understood. Fee for birth or death certificate, driving license, visa, passport. What is this? That is, generally these are to individuals right now. No, because here we are discussing about services to business entities. So why a business entity will be receiving fee for birth certificate, death certificate, driving license? Say a company is taking a Keyman insurance policy. When company takes a Keyman insurance policy, they need the birth certificate or death certificate to claim the policy. Same way, driving license. So there is a company which has drivers as its employees. So on that driver's driving license renewal, the company only will pay na. Then visa and passport. Say there is a BPO which is sending their employees to foreign country for training. So now whatever money that they receive for this passport, visa, etc., that money received by them will be exempted. Okay. Then guarantee commission. What is this guarantee commission? So whenever loans are taken by public sector undertakings, government will guarantee on behalf of the public sector undertaking, for which public sector undertaking should pay some commission to the government. So when public sector undertakings go for unsecured loan, government will guarantee, for which public sector undertakings will be paying some commission to the government. That is known as guarantee commission. That guarantee commission received by the government is exempted. Then 13th point, excess royalty collection contractor to the extent of variable royalty. So there is a excess royalty collection contractor who is appointed by the state government to convert the variable royalty into fixed royalty. So this excess royalty collection contractor receives variable royalty and pays fixed royalty to the government. Now whatever is the variable royalty that is received by the excess royalty collection contractor, he is not required to pay GST on that, because on that GST anyhow the leaseholder will pay. For example, state government of Tamil Nadu, I am a ERCC, excess royalty collection contractor. You are the leaseholder. Now you pay variable royalty. You pay variable royalty to me and you pay GST on that variable royalty under RCM. Now I will give fixed royalty, like swap, converting variable royalty into fixed royalty. I will pay fixed royalty to the government. Now on that, to the extent of variable royalty, I am not required to pay any GST. Suppose if fixed royalty is more than variable royalty, on the difference only I need to pay GST. Okay. Then these are the specific exemptions with respect to services provided by government to business entities. Now there are some general exemptions. Two general exemptions are there. That is, apart from the above 13 points, if any other service is provided by government to business entity, that business entity turnover during previous year does not exceed the threshold limit. Turnover of that business entity during previous year does not exceed the threshold limit, then whatever money that is being received will be exempted. Okay, say this. Services other than those covered under specific exemptions, provided to business entity whose aggregate turnover during the previous year does not exceed threshold limit. However, this exemption is not applicable to renting of immovable property services. Okay, For example, say advertisement service are provided by government to business entity, and that business entity turnover during previous year is just 10 lakhs. It does not exceed the threshold limit. So whatever money towards advertisement services received will be exempted, like that. Okay. Then apart from this, services other than those covered under general exemption provided to business entity where value of supply does not exceed 5,000. What is this? Suppose if that business entity turnover during previous year exceed threshold limit. Now another exemption says this is R, either this or that. Value, how much they are collecting, how much government is collecting as fees does not exceed 5,000. Then also it will be exempted. But this exemption, 5,000 exemption is applicable in case of renting of immobile property. Note, fines and penalties for breach of law is not consideration for tolerating an act. This is not a supply. So whenever you cross the traffic signal, etc., or not wearing helmet, they will be levying some fine and penalty. These fines and penalties levied by the government should not be understood as consideration for tolerating an act. That is first of all not a supply. Okay. So these are the exemptions. So in remaining cases, who will pay GST? Government. Like in remaining cases, it is taxable. Who will pay GST? If it is renting of immobile property, already we discussed. If it is renting of immobile property, if recipient is registered, recipient will pay GST. See this, liability to pay GST. Department of Post, Airport and Port, FCM. Transportation of goods or passengers, we need to refer transportation chart. Services to business entities, renting, if recipient is registered, he will pay, otherwise government will pay. Service to business entity other than renting, always RCM. Okay, so this is about services provided by government to business entities. Okay, so service of the government we discussed. Now have a look into renting services. Have a look into renting services. So renting includes leasing and licensing. So the following renting is exempted. What are they? Renting of mobile property. When it comes to mobile property, only motor vehicles is exempted. All other goods will be taxable. Okay, only for motor vehicles I have given exemption. Hiring of a motor vehicle that can carry more than 12 passengers to a state road transport corporation. So there is a bus which can carry more than 12 passengers which is given on rent to a state road transport corporation. The rent received is exempted. What if the capacity does not exceed 12? Taxable. What if the capacity exceeds 12 but it is given on hire to other than state road transport corporation? Then also it will be taxable. Then hiring of a means of transport goods to a GTA. A lorry is there, lorry is given on rent to a goods transport agency. Whatever money that is being collected will be exempted. Then hiring of electric vehicle that can carry more than 12 passengers to a local authority. So there is electric vehicle which can carry more than 12 passengers given on rent to whom? Local authority is exempted. These are the motor vehicles, mobile property which is exempted. Now immobile property. Immobile property, that is buildings, etc. So when it is exempted, if it is a residential property given for residential purpose, then it is exempted. If it is a commercial property given on rent for what purpose? Residential purpose, means temporary stay. If the rent does not exceed 1,500 per day, then it is exempted. 1,000 per day, then it is exempted. Value of supply per day is less than or equals to 1,000. So does not exceed 1,000 rupees is exempted. Okay, this is in case of commercial property. So you understood here. Now say residential property given on rent for commercial purpose, taxable. Commercial property given on rent for commercial purpose, taxable. Commercial property given on rent for residential purpose but per day stay is more than 1,000, taxable. Okay. Then renting of the precincts of religious place meant for general public. There is a religious place which is meant for general public, and that religious place is registered under a trust, charitable trust or religious trust. Now the precincts, the surroundings of that religious place is given on rent. For what purpose? For accommodation purpose. If per day tariff is less than 1,000, it is exempted. If it is greater than or equals to 1,000, it will be taxable, entirely taxable. Same way, they are giving it on rent for hall, marriage functions, etc. Per day tariff less than 10,000 will be exempted. If it is greater than or equals to 10,000 per day, it will be entirely taxable. Suppose if they give the premises on rent for shops, precincts on rent for shops, Then per day, per month, if it is less than 10,000 rupees, it is exempted. It's not per day or per month, okay. And if it is less than, greater than or equal to 10,000, then it will be entirely taxable under FCM. Understood this one? So therefore, what should be learned here? So accommodation per day less than 1,000 exempted. Shops per month less than 10,000 exempted. Hall per day less than 10,000 exempted. Then who will pay GST in case of renting of motor vehicles once it is taxable? So if the supplier is other than body corporate and the recipient is body corporate and the rate of GST is 5% RCM, otherwise it is FCM. Where we discussed, in RCM we discussed. Then sports related services, have a look into this. That is, there is a recognized sports body, example BCCI, unrecognized sports body, example IPL, okay, and body corporate or firm, example Vivo, sole proprietor, example Duraply. Now that recognized sports body is receiving services from whom? Player, referee, umpire, coach, team manager. Okay, services of player, referee, umpire, coach, team manager to recognize sports body is exempted. If these 5 people provide services to any other sports body, it will be taxable. For example, Virat Kohli receiving money from Royal Challengers Bengaluru will be taxable. Virat Kohli receiving money from BCCI will be exempted, like that. Suppose if it is any other person apart from these 5 people, like commentators, selectors, pitch curators, etc., they provide services to recognized sports body or unrecognized sports body, it will be always taxable. Then services provided, sponsorship services. If sponsorship service is provided by recognized sports body, it is exempted, whomsoever may be the recipient. That is, if sponsorship money is collected by recognized sports body, it is exempted. If the sponsorship money is collected by unrecognized sports body, it will be taxable. And who is the recipient? Body corporate or firm, they will pay GST. Otherwise, supplier will pay GST, because sponsorship service is covered under RCM when the recipient is body corporate or firm. That is this. Based on that only this chart is created. Then services by an unincorporated association or body to its members. So there is an unincorporated association or body, they are providing services to its members. So now that unincorporated association is a trade union. Trade union means what? Association of traders. Whatever money collected as membership fee will be exempted. Suppose if that service itself is exempted, service provided by the association to its members is also exempted. Suppose if it is a resident welfare association, like all the apartment owners will form a body and these apartment owners will be collecting money from the members, apartment association will be collecting from the members towards maintenance charges. If the maintenance charges does not exceed 7,500 per month per member, then it is exempted. If it exceeds 7,500, entirely taxable. Then industrial or agricultural labor union. Labor union means association of laborers. So these laborers will form an association, and if that union collects membership fee, that is exempted, whatever may be the membership fee. Suppose apart from this any other association collecting membership fee, if that is up to 1,000 rupees per annum, then it is exempted, otherwise it will be taxable. For example, ICI collecting membership fee from the members, so definitely it is greater than 1,000 rupees per annum and it will be taxable, entirely taxable. Okay, that is this point. Then we have transportation of passenger service. Transportation of passenger service, following services are exempted. So railways, first transportation of passengers is divided into 4 areas: railways, airways, waterways and roadways. Railways, what is exempted? Other than AC or first class is exempted. Other than AC or first class is exempted. So then when it will be taxable? First class will be taxable, AC or non-AC, first class AC or non-AC, and any AC will be taxable. If it is other than AC or first class, what does it mean? Sleeper class, second class sitting, general tickets, all these will be exempted. Same way, metro, mono and tramway. Metro rail, monorail and tramway, let it be AC or non-AC. Let it be AC or non-AC. And let it be first class or any class, it will be exempted. What is exempted? Metro, mono and tramway. Then airways. With respect to airways, what is exempted? If the starting point or ending point of the passenger, if the starting point or ending point of the passenger is in northeastern states or Bagdogra in West Bengal, if the starting point or ending point of the passenger is in northeastern states or Bagdogra in West Bengal, then it will be exempted. Okay. So starting point of the journey or ending point of the journey is in northeastern states or Bagdogra in West Bengal, then it will be exempted. Either starting point or ending point. For example, I wanted to travel from Chennai to Dubai. I am taking 2 tickets. Ticket number 1, Chennai to northeastern state or Bagdogra. As the ending point is northeastern state or Bagdogra, that ticket is exempted. Second ticket from northeastern state or Bagdogra to Dubai, that ticket is also exempted because the starting point is in northeastern state or Bagdogra. Then consideration for viability gap funding for a period of 3 years. What is this? There is a Udaan scheme of government. Under the Udaan scheme of government, so what happens? These airports, if you are traveling, if you are using the airports, regional connectivity airports, whatever money that you receive from the passenger, you need to subsidize that, you need to reduce. So a part consideration received from government and remaining consideration received from passenger. Now that consideration which is received from the passenger will be taxable, but consideration received from the government is exempted. For example, this transportation from Chennai to Rajahmundry. Recently I have been to Rajahmundry. Chennai to Rajahmundry. Rajahmundry is a regional connectivity airport. Now, Indigo Airlines is providing services from Rajahmundry to Chennai, and what they are doing, they are collecting the transportation charges as somewhere 2000 rupees. Ticket is 2500 rupees. But at 2500 they cannot provide the service. So they will receive some 1000 rupees from the government. So that money which is received from the government is known as regional connectivity scheme, and whatever money that they receive will be exempted from the government. For how many years it is exempted? For a period of 3 years. Thereafter, after 3 years also will they receive money? Yes, after 3 years also they will receive the money, but that will be taxable. Understood? Consideration as viability gap funding for 3 years. Then waterways, we have inland waterways and coastal waters. Inland waters, transportation of passengers is fully exempted. Then coastal waters. What is coastal waters? Coastal waters means seaways. Seaways, transportation of passengers is exempted if it is for public transportation other than for tourism purpose. If it is for tourism purpose, then it will be taxable. Say for example, transportation of passengers from Chennai to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this is public transportation. So that transportation will be in coastal waters, it is exempted. Okay. Then roadways, transportation of passengers by roadways, when it is exempted. If it is non-AC stage carriage means local bus. And contract carriage means bus from one place to another place, one city to another city, one town to another town. So non-AC contract carriage is exempted other than tourism or hire. If the non-AC contract carriage is for tourism or hire, it will be taxable. First non-AC stage carriage, then non-AC contract carriage other than for tourism or hire. Then metered cab or auto rickshaws. Metered cabs or auto rickshaws is also exempted. So these are the various transportation of passengers which is exempted. Then next we have transportation of goods. So these 4 are exempted. So again same, railways, airways, waterways and roadways. In railways, only specified goods transported is exempted here. In case of railways, only specified goods transported is exempted. And what are those specified goods, sir? Those specified goods you can see here below, next page. Those specified goods are agricultural produce, organic manure, Then food grains including flours and pulses, milk and salt. So first you remember three things related to food. First, agricultural produce. Second, food grains including flours, pulses, milk and salt. Food grains like wheat or rice or wheat flour, gram flour, etc. Food grains including flours and pulses, milk and salt. And then organic manure. Number 3, organic manure. Number 4, newspapers and magazines. Number 5, defense and military equipment. Then railway equipment and materials, relief materials for natural or man-made disasters. So these are the 7 specified goods. These 7 specified goods transported by railways is exempted. Okay. Even next, airways. Airways, India to outside India is also exempted. Outside India to India is also exempted. India to outside India is exempted up to 39/2021. But for your exam, it is May 2021 exam. So definitely it is exempted. So transportation of passengers by airways, India to outside India is exempt. Outside India to India is also exempted. Then waterways, transportation of goods by waterways. If it is inland waters, exempted here. If it is coastal waters within India, those specified goods, already we discussed the specified goods for railways na, those specified goods is exempted. If it is coastal waters, India to outside India is exempted, but outside India to India is not exempted, it is taxable. Transportation of goods by vessel from outside India to India is not exempted. India to outside India is only exempted, but outside India to India will be taxable. Then roadways other than GTA or courier is exempted. So GTA and courier is only taxable. Okay. Then for GTA there are few exemptions. Total 5 exemptions for goods transport agency. Number 1, if goods transport agency transports specified goods. Sir, what are the specified goods? Whatever specified goods that we have discussed, the same specified goods except railway equipment and material. So this railway equipment and material is not specified for GTA. Apart from that, all other 6 goods are specified goods even for goods transport agency. Then next, second exemption, they are transporting consignment in a single goods carriage. If the freight does not exceed 1500, it is exempted. So single consignment transported in a single goods carriage. Suppose if they are transporting consignment in multiple goods transport in multiple carriages, but all these are belonging to the same consignee, then whatever money that is being collected, if the freight does not exceed 750, it is exempted. If the freight exceeds 750, it will be taxable, fully taxable. Then suppose if the recipient is central government, state government or local authority registered only to deduct TDS, then also it is exempted. Then if the recipient is individual HUF or AJP, recipient is individual HUF or AJP not having a factory, then the freight collected will be exempted. So these are the 5 exemptions with respect to GTA services. Okay. Apart from this, we don't have any other exemption. And now they have 2 options. Either they can pay GST under FCM or they can pay GST under RCM. 12% means FCM, 5% means RCM. Then this OIDR services already we discussed. When it will be taxable, when it will be exempted, who is non-taxable recipient, all this discussion already we have completed. OIDR services. Now look into construction services. Construction services, we have few exemption. See, this exemption is only to construction, not to works contract, which means construction means what? It's a pure labor contract. It's a pure labor contract. There should not be both supply of goods and services. So construction of an individual house, irrespective of the floor area or cost, so is exempted. Individual house, that should be otherwise than as a part of complex. So like individual bungalow, villa, etc. exempted. And construction or repair alteration in relation to project under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or Housing for All mission. There is a project which is covered under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or Housing for All mission. Under that project, whatever money that is collected for providing construction service, including repair service, is exempted. Then number 3, there is something called as TDR, FSA and long-term lease. which will be given by a landowner to the builder, and that builder is using the TDR FSI long-term lease for construction of residential flats. Now, to the extent that is used in residential flats that got booked before completion certificate is exempted. For example, so I have constructed 100 flats. In that 80 flats are residential. Out of that 80 flats, say 55 flats are booked before completion certificate. Then 55 divided by 100 exemption is available. On inward supply, how much is the exemption? To the extent of residential flats booked before completion certificate divided by total. So what is the residential flats booked before completion certificate? 55 divided by total 100. To that extent it is exempted here. Then one third we have seen the exemption. What is that one third? So we have 1/3 of the land. 1/3 of the land is also exempted. Whenever value is inclusive of value of land, value of flat is inclusive of value of land, 1/3 will be excluded or exempted. So remaining is only chargeable to GST. Long back we discussed that point. Then advocate services. Advocate services, see this. Individual advocate other than senior advocate or firm of advocates. Advocate services, whether it is taxable or exempted, we are discussing. Suppose if that advocate is an individual advocate other than senior advocate or firm of advocates, okay, this exemption is applicable. Are they providing services to a business entity? No, they are providing service to individual, then it is exempted. Are they providing services to a business entity? Yes. Who is that business entity? Another individual advocate or firm of advocates, then also it is exempted. If that business entity is central government or state government or government agency, then also it is exempted. If that business entity turnover during previous year does not exceed threshold limit, then also it is exempted. Otherwise, it will be taxable under RCM. So when it will be taxable, services are provided by individual advocate or other than senior advocate or firm of advocates to a business entity. That business entity should not be another individual advocate or firm of advocates. That business entity should not be central government or state government. That business entity turnover during previous year should exceed threshold limit. Then it will be taxable. Whenever it is taxable, it will be taxable under RCM. Okay, that is this. Now, suppose if that person is a senior advocate, then sir, if that person is a senior advocate, ditto, same, but only thing, the business entity can be another individual advocate or firm of advocates. Suppose if the business entity is another individual advocate or firm of advocates, outright exemption is not there like what we have seen in the previous case. So whether services provided to business entity, no, exempted. Yes. Whether they are government, so that point we are skipping, directly we are going to government, yes, exempted. Otherwise it will be taxable if the turnover of the business entity during previous year exceeds threshold limit. Then we have the miscellaneous exemptions. Exemptions under IGST Act. 3 exemptions are there. These are the 3 exemptions under IGST Act. Look into the first point. Both supplier and recipient are outside India. Both supplier and recipient is outside India. Fully it is exempted, except in case of transportation of goods by vessel from where to where? Outside India to India. Who will pay GST? Importer of such goods will pay GST. Already we discussed this. Then services provided by a tour operator. Where the tour operator is located? Tour operator is in India. They are providing services to a foreign tourist. Foreign tour operator is in India. The tourist is outside India, and the tour is also completely conducted outside India. Sir, why can't we treat it as export of services? Because in case of tour operator is an intermediary. Intermediary services will come under place of supply is location of supplier. So therefore it will never become export of service. Intermediary services, section 13, place of supply is what? Location of supplier. So where is the intermediary located? In India. So it will never become export of service. That's why they have given this exemption. Another intermediary is, this intermediary is engaged in making the transaction between a supplier outside India, recipient outside India. So there is a supplier of goods outside India, recipient of goods outside India, only the broker is in India. He gets a commission. That is also exempted. It is not export of service, because in case of intermediary services, place of supply is location of supplier. These are the 3 exemptions here. These are the 3 exemptions under IGST Act. Now we have some miscellaneous exempted services. Meanwhile, there is one question. Sir, what is service recipient is a senior advocate in case 1 exempted. Individual advocate providing services to a senior advocate fully exempted because the recipient is advocate, individual advocate, exempted. Then what if individual advocate provides service to a senior advocate? Exempted. Already I told you. Individual advocate provides service to a senior advocate is exempted. Then next one. So please differentiate consideration received before or after receiving completion certificate for builder. Already I discussed now. If entire consideration is received after completion certificate, it is not a supply. It is not a supply. If part of the consideration is received before and part is received after, or if entire consideration is received before completion certificate, it will come under supply, chargeable to GST. Okay. Then miscellaneous exempted services, say this: transfer of a going concern as a whole or independent part thereof. That is, I have a business, I am transferring the business as it is, as a going concern. So then whatever money that I receive will be exempted. Then supply of service associated with transit cargo to Nepal and Bhutan. That is, Nepal and Bhutan are landlocked countries. So goods will be unloaded in India. From there it will go to Nepal and Bhutan. Now whatever money that is being received for providing services to this transit cargo is exempted. Then service by way of collecting, information. That is, there are independent journalists, Press Trust of India, United News of India. They collect money, that is exempted. Then public libraries, lending fee. Like public libraries will be giving books on rent, they will get a fee, that fee collected by them is exempted. Services by an organizer to any person. So in relation to business exhibition held outside India. So there is a business exhibition which is held outside India, both supplier and recipient are in India, that is exempted. Services by public convenience, that is facilities of bathroom, washroom, lavatories, urinal or toilet, money will be received at 1 rupee, 2 rupees, etc. That is exempted. Service by way of accessing roads on payment of toll charges. The toll charges can be paid every time or annuity, yearly basis. The toll charges is exempted. Then services by a performance artist. Who is a performance artist? One who performs before the audience is known as a performance artist. They should be performing in folk or classical art form, and it should be in music or dance or theatre. Now that performance artist, for example, there is a Bharatanatyam dancer. So Bharatanatyam dancer receiving money, how much? Per performance it should be up to 1,50,000. If it exceeds 1,50,000, entirely taxable per performance. That is per performance. What if they are performing by acting as a brand ambassador? Whatever money that will be received will be taxable if they are acting as a brand ambassador. Then services by way of training or coaching in recreational activities relating to arts, sports or culture. Already we discussed this point. Then, so services by way of licensing, registration, analysis of testing of food samples. This FSSAI is there now. So they will be giving license to the food business operators for which they collect some money, that is exempted. Then satellite launch services supplied by Indian Space Research Organization, Antrix Corporation or New Space India Limited. These three people, Indian Space Research Organization, Antrix Corporation or New Space India Limited, they provide satellite launch service. This is a May 21 amendment, that is exempted. So this 12th point and 13th point you can ignore because this FIFA Under 17 Women's World Cup 2020 was not held in India. So leave it. That because of COVID it was not held, so that exemption is not relevant. So with this we completed the entire exemptions under GST. Okay.